everyone. How are you doing today? Okay, y'all. So, if you couldn't tell, if you haven't seen the movie, we just watched 2024's Nosferatu by Robert Eggers. And that movie is a wild ride. I don't know how else to explain it, okay? So, real quick, Nosferatu is an unauthorized adaptation of Bram Stoker's Dracula. I don't remember the original creator's name, but he wanted to do a version of Dracula. There were some rights issues or whatever, so he made a different version, called it Nosferatu. So it's basically Dracula in a sense, with some tweaks. I know that even after he put the film out, he faced some legal challenges from the people who owned the estate of Bram Stoker's Dracula. As from what I know, this movie has more traditional, I guess, folklore about vampires, if I'm correct. I think maybe it might be German folklore. I could be wrong, but I know it's definitely more traditional folklore, because this ain't like no vampire I've ever seen. And also, the main character, Ellen, played by Lily Rose Depp, she is like a sleepwalker, and I guess back in the days, they thought people who sleepwalked had some kind of like connection to the supernatural.
Some people still feel that way.
I'm sure they do. So it's basically, if you ever seen, like, I've never read it, you know, because I'm too uncultured. I'm an inner city dweller. Never read Bram Stoker's Dracula, but of course I've seen the movie done by Gary Oldman, and it pretty much followed the same story beats. So if you ever seen that movie, you kind of can get the story beats of what happens here. A little bit different, but basically you got a old ass vampire living in a castle, ancient vampire. A guy goes there to sell him some property, finds out about his wife, traps the guy there, and then goes and pursues his wife. Hell ensues anybody and everybody around him until they eventually end up slaying Dracula, which I think in both cases, in the original movie, it was the main woman he was after anyways that ended up doing him in. Same here. But I think in the original movie, it followed the POV of Thomas's character and not Ellen. As that being said, we just kind of gave you the synopsis. I guess we're going to talk about some of the little parts that happened in the movie and just make it more of a discussion. I think we've kind of gotten tired of just running down the movie. There's tons of videos if you wanted to go watch that shit.
This movie is insane. Like, I enjoyed it from the beginning, and I've seen Dracula before, but it was a long time ago. So all of this is as if I was seeing it right from the beginning. I was on Twitter and I saw someone had posted a piece of, not this one, I guess the original or whatever. And they were talking about how, like, she gave herself up, like, she willingly gave herself up. And then other people were like, no, you can't consent if you're under duress. You know, she had no other choice. And then it kind of made me feel like Beauty and the Beast. Like, and it made me feel like, you know how a lot of these Disney stories, how they kind of make it all nice and stuff so you don't see how, like, actually evil the story is. And it made me think about that, because that's essentially what she had to do. Like, her safety was on the line, and at the end of it, he was turned into this handsome prince, but ultimately she had to, like, chill with this beast to avoid being, you know, put in danger. I like the movie a lot. Whoever played Dracula, he's amazing. He did a great job.
Let me give you some more trivia. So basically what he was trying to go for, a Romanian undead local, or like a royal, like they wanted him to actually look like a undead corpse.
We know the plot of Dracula and all that, but just I'm going at it from, like, looking at the plot. Like, why did this person do what he did? I don't even understand why he ended up there. Let's just start there. Like, we was talking about it while the movie was playing. We're like, what is he doing there? The boss low-key wanted Count Orlok. Let's be real. Like,
He's like, please, Count Orlok, I'm butt naked.
I am interested in you.
his boss is trying to pledge his body to Count Orlok.
Orlok pimp slapped him. He's like, bitch, I don't like men.
Give me your blood.
I don't want your body, no diddy.
The husband works for a firm or whatever, and I guess the real estate is the boss sends him to Count Orlok's castle to go get this deal underway, according to the boss. And he goes to do this thing. So he rolls into the town before he gets to the castle, and they're all in the town, and they're like, hold up, you going where? So they automatically some cause for concern there. And in the middle, he wakes up in the middle of the night, what feels like it's a dream, but apparently isn't a dream. And they're all walking this quote unquote virgin, and she's naked on a horse. and they're walking her and they trying to take him out. And we're like, why are you still here? After that dream, it would have been time to go. But no, he was still there. What did you think about up until that point?
Well, you know, obviously it was cut in the 1800s, I think. So he has to take his trip all the way to this mountain area.
By himself.
By himself. Then you going in this town with a bunch of locals. I would have been out of there when they all started like collectively laughing at me. I'd have been like, okay, now I'm good. You know, I got the fuck up out of there. Then, like you said, you see the weird like virgin ritual they do. They spike this vampire. He sees it, then wakes up in bed with muddy boots. He opens the door. Everybody's going along with his motherfucking horse. Right? And I'm like, well, I guess I'm walking back.
Right.
And then he's like at night walking down this dark like forest road, up to a crossroad. All of a sudden you hear noise in the distance, and then this like horse and carriage pulls up. Nobody's driving it. The door opens like just automatically, and he gets in and comes to this rickety ass castle. I'm like, what the fuck is you doing? Like, leave. And then he gets in there, you just see this like gigantic man off in the distance, and like everything is screaming, get the fuck out of here. You know?
Why are you there?
Then he's up in there, and then you hear this man talking to him like this, and his voice is just booming too. He's tall as fuck. Every step he makes sounds like he's like 1,000 pounds walking.
It's breathing like he got asthma. Like he sound like me in the winter, low key. Like I'm like, what? You okay?
And he got the longest fingers I ever seen in my entire life. And with these sharp nails and stuff. He's sitting there trying to finish this sale or whatever, and then the guy has, oh, okay, here's the sale, but it's in my language, which makes no sense. I thought you the one selling the property. He tells him to sign it, which why do I have to sign it? You're buying the house. Well, I guess maybe you could say I'm the seller. My name wouldn't be in the big red square. Your name would be in the big red square.
I think he was on a trance.
No, he forced him to do it, because you saw when he was writing, you can see all of a sudden after he was done, like he like pulled his arm back, you know what I'm saying? So and then he's like, hey man, I want to leave. Nah, you stay here tonight, you sick. You know, he's like, nah man, I'm tired, man, just stay in the bed, shut up. You know, I was like, damn.
Mind you, he's waking up. So no, the first morning he had a nightmare, and then he wakes up with like a bite mark.
Like 2 puncture marks in his chest, not on his neck. And it's in his chest, in his pec.
He's like, you know, I'm feeling ill. And he's like, well, then you shouldn't be traveling. And then he wakes up the next day, another bite. And so now he's like, I got to get up out of here. Like, I got to go. So he is trying to get out. He's trying to get out the castle.
The one time that we like, yeah, he's doing something smart. He's like, gosh, got to get the fuck up out of here.
It's his casket. And he removes the top off the casket.
Oh my God.
Fuck, man. Why would you do that? And he sees what he actually looks like. Because all this time, he been talking to him in the dark. So we finally seeing like this grotesque.
Basically a corpse.
Right, exactly. So he has a bright idea to try to, you know, get him out of here. He wakes up and then it's go time.
He didn't even wake up. That motherfucker caught it in mid-swing. What you doing? Stood up, penis out, and everything. Shriveled, dry penis. And I'm like, oh, Lord Jesus. He tried to run away, got caught in the bed, got drunk again. You know, I was like, oh, Lord.
And now, because he wasn't playing nice, it was like, okay, now he had the wolves ready to attack him.
Dude, them shits was sitting over him like, as soon as he wake up, bite his nuts. He woke up and was like, oh.
He wakes up.
He jumped out the damn window.
Gets found by a bunch of nuns, and they're trying to get the demon out of him. He was like, I got to go to my wife, because what happened while he was there, he showed him a little locket or something like that of her lock. And so he's like sniffing it. So he's like, I gotta go back to my girl. So he'd get up out of the damn nun thing. All this time, his wife is having like convulsions, like these moments of like, it sounds like she's having sex, but
I think she was. Now that we know what we know.
They're like, we don't know what's wrong with her, because she's staying with her friend and her friend's husband and kids and all that. They don't know what's wrong with her. So they call the doctor on her, and they're like, look, and we were laughing about this, because it's like, the doctor's like, well, make sure she sleeps with her corset to help with the circulation.
It calmed her womb. I'm like, what? Her womb is upset?
And then on top of that, the husband is hitting her with chloroform.
Or ether, they call it back in the day. And opiates.
Like that old school medicine is insane.
Okay, maybe she's not convulsing and freaking out because of a demon. She's or she crazy. Y'all keep chloroforming her and giving her opiates. I'll be wigging out too.
She's doing withdrawal.
You see people on the street all zombied out too. Like, come on, man. Hey.
Her friend's husband, Friedrich, is starting to get annoyed because her friend is pregnant. Got 2 daughters already. He don't really know how to help her. All this time, the boss that's been trying to get knocked down by Count Orlok lost his mind.
Oh yeah, he's in an insane asylum eating pigeons and shit though.
All of these things are happening, like these separate things are happening to make them think that a plague has hit the town.
There was a rat plague because they call him the Prince of Rats, I think. And every time you seen him, there was like rats all around. So he did bring a plague of rats with him. So when they were on the boat, like when Orlok was coming, I don't know if it was the Demeter in this one, but that's what the boat that was called that brought Dracula to the mainland. It was a plague, but it was supernatural at the same time, if that makes sense. Basically, this movie is basically about obsession in a sense, right? Ellen, she, because of her sleepwalking ways and I guess her connection to the beyond or whatever, she said, remember she said her family, like everybody would have kind of like shunned her. And she was lonely, so she ended up like pledging herself to this vampire unknowingly. And I guess he used to like, I don't know if he was at phantoms banging her or whatever, but she was only supposed to be with him apparently. But she ended up finding love from another person and married it. And so I guess he just set things up to go out and see her personally. You know what I'm saying?
It's also about grooming, yeah.
I just wanted to like talk about Ellen or like Lily Rose Depp. She's been in a few things throughout the years. I think this will be the new movie she'll be known for. But the thing she was known for before this was that show with the Weeknd called The Idol, that really bad show there. You want to check it fun? Yeah, she was the main character in that. And I'm very happy to see that this young woman did this movie and got to show her acting chops because she was really good in this movie. The physicality that Lily Rose Depp had at playing Ellen, like when she was like getting, I guess, possessed, or when she was like sleepwalking, or when she was like having like, I guess, an attack, or he was speaking to her, or maybe like the many times we heard her moaning in sleep, I guess he was diddling her or whatever. Physicality was nuts. And there was this one scene, she starts like ripping her clothes off, screaming, freaking out. She's convulsing, her eyes are rolling back in her head, her tongue is coming out, my spit is drool. And then all of a sudden, now, if this was happening to me, and my woman's doing this, I'll be freaked the fuck out, right? I'll be like, what the fuck is going on? And then she crawls over, I'll be good, and all this dingling and stuff. I'm like, whoa. And then she's like, he's better loving than you. And then also, he just pick it up, start smashing. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here?
Like in that moment, you like, yeah, this is a good idea. I'm gonna, let's do this.
There's a monster trying to kill both of us, and you freaking out. Yeah, let me bone you real quick. I'll fuck the demon out of you. It was just wild, but I think every scene that woman was in, like, especially with when she was kind of wigging out, she just stole the fucking scene.
Yeah, she did a really good job with that.
On the other side, the guy, Bill Skarsgård of It fame, he was fucking unrecognizable, and I didn't even recognize him.
Oh, that was the one that did Count Orlok, right?
Yes, and oh my God, every scene he was in, he freaking stole.
It was a really good one.
I think you went half the movie before you actually saw what he, like, got a clear look at what he actually looked like. His look, it's similar but different because like the old one, he was like really pale white and he had the long fingers still. But he wasn't as large, so I guess that was one of the reasons they got Bill Skarsgård, because the man is 6'4". He's a giant. Now, I'm sure they made him even bigger. Every scene, like the voice, I'm sure that was his voice. Man, it was just good. He was really good, man. Bro, he is really good at monsters and shit. Have you ever seen him in It?
No.
Oh my God, he killed it in that too. He's really good, man. He's a good actor. I'm happy to see him. He's like versatile. He was in John Wick 4 as one of the villains. He's just doing all kinds of stuff. Shout out to him. But yeah, I really liked the vampire in this one because it was definitely a different depiction than most vampire movies. Most the vampires are sexy and they're hot and they just risen up all the girls, even though he's still kind of, well, no, I guess you were saying it was like grooming. Even in the movies like Twilight, like me and you talked about, this guy's hundreds of years old and he's talking to some 15-year-old, which is weird. You know what I'm saying? In high school, which I don't understand. I guess this is similar too, because I think obviously she had to be young when she called out to this monster. He wasn't sexy. He literally looked like a giant corpse slash like rat monster thing. And I kind of digged it because me and you were laughing about when we were talking about Bram Stoker's Dracula movie, right? We talking about the Dracula movie, how like Gary Oldman in the beginning kind of looked something similar, not exactly, but he was pale, very corpse-like, really long fingers and nails and stuff, right? And then like when he came to America, man, this dude had it, man, he looked like a pimp, man. He had
Yes, queen.
a suit on, he had shades, had a cane, top hat walking. Man, I was like, man, is that suit made out of crushed velvet? What is going on? And you see that most of the time with these vampire movies, right? And it's not many vampire movies that make the vampires look like disgusting like this. Like the only other one I can kind of think of is, I don't know if you ever seen 30 Days a Night, but those vampires weren't cute at all. The Last Voyage of the Demeter, which is that other one I told you about, but Dracula is fucking frightening in that one too. He's like a bat creature. But like most vampire movies, the main character is like a sexy vampire or whatever. So
That was trying to romanticize it. The idea of a vampire has always been like romanticized. That's how they make them look like that.
because vampires are always like mixed with sex, seduction. Then of course, when you want your turn, you get like internal youth, and you know, so depending on the lore of that vampire story, you either like stay however old you look forever at that point, you know, once you're bitten, or some of them make you like kind of regress back to your prime. It all depends on the lore. This vampire definitely was a sexy, and I wouldn't want to meet him or want him to bite me. Funny enough, you never see him make another vampire in this movie. Outside of that one that was killed in the beginning, and they did the little virgin thing, you never see another vampire except him.
Well, that's another thing. Yeah, that's another part of this sort of vampire story that you typically get to see in other ones where somebody is made. And this one was really the obsession with him and her. And in my opinion, it really was like grooming, because she pledged herself to him when she was young, very young, and she was lonely, and he wouldn't let her go. He was like, our bodies are one. We're supposed to be together. And that's where that whole conversation on Twitter was coming from, where people were like, well, she pledged herself of her own free will before anything. And other people like, no, she was young. She was young, and young people can't consent. Young people can't consent if you're a grown-ass person. But if you're two young people, then under the age of consent, you can't consent.
So I do agree with those things. You also got to remember, at 1800s, I'm sure they wasn't waiting until you was 18 before you adult as well. So just wanted to put that out there. I'm not condoning any of that. I'm just saying.
No, right. But at that time, it was different. Exactly. But that conversation was had. Well, like, is it really consent if you're doing it under duress? Because part of the reason why she ultimately had to give herself to him and give her life inevitably was because he was basically like, I'm going to pick off everybody you love.
On the third night, your husband's going.
What ultimately happened was her friend passed away, her husband, the two girls. That was a crazy scene, actually.
They more than passed away.
Right.
That scene was wild.
The first night, he just like attacks the friend, and the friend survives that. Second night, though, he makes it so that the husband can't get up. And so she's hearing the girls screaming in the other room, she runs to the room, and he's literally biting the girl's face off.
We face off? Rumble, they gon' take your face off. They gon' rumble, they gon' take your face off.
Yeah, like he was taking a bite out of an apple. That shit was wild.
This scene is horrific. The scene was so terrible. That's why she inevitably had to, give up her life, was to save whoever was left that she cared about.
Her husband, that was it. Just her husband. He would have been the last one to go.
And so really, is it consent? It was under duress. She had no other choice. What would that be called? Coercion, right? I thought it was an interesting conversation that kind of made me interested in the movie because, like I said, I've seen Dracula years ago.
Also, another thing, a lot of times the hero, usually the woman that he's seeking, and the man kind of get away sometimes, not all the time. I don't think she had to give her life. He could have escaped. He could have gotten away and took her out, and then they would have been just doing this forever, however long either she lasted or he wanted her to. She kind of coaxed him into keep drinking because of his obsession. So he died because of his obsession too at the end. So Von Franz, I think he told her, remember how they had that quick discussion? He let her know, like, yeah, you're the only one that can take him out. The rest of us can't, because he read in that book what she had to do, and she had to like basically basically had to keep him there till sunrise, and that's what happened. It was like bittersweet because her husband got to live, but you know, she ended up passing with this giant thing on top of her, which was horrifying. You saw like him on his withered corpse. He was just a slightly non-withered corpse the majority of the movie, and then when he died, he was just this shriveled up thing. It was just on top of this like young woman. It was gross, man. So if you're like kind of squeamish, I would definitely it was a lot of foamy mouths and spit, vomit and stuff. Not like a lot, but it just came out of nowhere sometimes. And if you don't like rats, I'm gonna tell you that if you don't like rats, don't watch this movie, okay?
He bit the damn bird. I was like, oh my God.
Oh yeah, he did an Ozzy Osbourne, bro. That shit was crazy. So there's a lot more stuff in this movie that we kind of skipped over, but I think we hit most of the main parts of it. Good movie though. I enjoyed it. Even though we enjoyed Abigail, which Abigail was a different type of flick. Even though it was a horror flick, it was more like of a action kind of a horror flick. This one, I ain't gonna, this one got me a couple times. I'm like, oh shit. Like I wasn't like scared, like I'm scared, but it was very atmospheric. Sound, cinematography, top notch. Makes you actually want to go back and watch some other movies that this guy's done, because Robert Eggers, the guy who directed, he's done a movie called The Witch. And I know a lot of people hated that movie when it kind of first came out, but then through subsequent views, they like really liked it, you know? He's done a movie called The Northman. And apparently, this is why Willem Dafoe is in this movie, because he was in another movie that Robert Eggers did called The Lighthouse. I really wanted to watch that, actually. This is probably the best vampire movie I've seen, because Abigail had jokes. This is not a joke movie. This movie was deathly serious. There was no humor in it at all. Now, granted, me and you were making jokes because that's what we do when we watch movies. But to be honest, there's no humor in this movie. Nothing funny. You know, and you might find something funny in it, but like in the movie, nobody's joking, versus like Abigail, there's actual jokes and humor in it, right? So this is probably, if I'm just gonna just give it off like a pure horror, serious vampire movie, this is probably the best vampire movie I've seen probably since Dracula. And I'm not saying there aren't good vampire movies, because there's one movie I like called Dracula Untold. That's so good, but that's more action. That's kind of action-y. 30 Days a Night is a good horror movie too, but that's kind of an action-y horror movie.
I was interested the entire time, and it was really good. Like, the acting was good. It did what it was supposed to do. It was more about the story between Nosferatu and Ellen. So I like that. Like, it wasn't like a vampire thing, but it's just out biting everybody and shit like that. I'm gonna say I would give it 8.5.
I like the atmosphere, cinematography. The sound design was great. Bill Skarsgård took it, killed it. Billy Rose killed it. Nobody was a bad actor in this movie at all, either. No bad actors. Like, you know, I'm not gonna lie, the boss, the naked boss, his name was Hair Knock. I wouldn't say cartoony, but he was just like so giddy and evil and stuff, but he did what he was supposed to do. Like I said, it actually got me to jump a couple times. I'm gonna give this, and this is gonna be ridiculous. I know some of y'all are gonna look at me like I'm crazy. Like, are you serious? I'm gonna give this movie a 10.
Oh shit.
That movie was 2 hours and it didn't feel like it was 2 hours.
No, it didn't feel like.
I've watched a few movies where I've been like, how much longer is in this movie? You know what I'm saying? This movie wasn't like one of the movies like, it's too long. Yeah, have you seen it? Did you like it? What'd you think? Am I tripping? Is too high of a score? Or what did you think? Do you like rats? Do you like biting heads off of pigeons? I mean, just let us know in the chat, man.
You like vampires?
Rat pyres, it's crazy.
So we'll see you next time. Hit the like button and subscribe.
If you watch the movie, you'll get it. Anyways, later, y'all.